That is a storage container right there, as I'm sure you've already noticed, and it is going right here. May eventually, if I get the correct permit, turn it into a pool gazebo, but right now it's going to be used for storage. Maybe I'll throw a quick video of us moving it, because I've got to get it from here over to there, which I'm sure will be an absolute challenge, but I'll figure it out one way or another. Before we get started with the move, let's talk about the mounting pads. Speaking with a couple professionals before I started the project, they said, hey, you can throw it right on gravel, you can throw it on a concrete pad, or you can do a hybrid of both. What you see here is 4 12-inch Sono tubes filled with concrete 4 feet down and gravel. Delivery day was pretty simple. I had an awesome driver. I told him where it was going, and he said, let me get it as close as I can, which he did. This was several months in the planning, checking with the city, etc., etc., etc. And then the move, the container date arrived, and all my friends came to help. Thank you guys. You guys are freaking awesome. We stood around waiting for everybody else. We had coffee, we discussed the plan, and then we got moving. In addition to all the bodies, there was 2 other essential pieces. A decent-sized skid steer that I rented from Home Depot, and the yellow boards you're seeing us lay are actually from an old arena, a rink. My neighbor had the baseboards, and they were quite slippery. They worked perfectly. There were several points where the skid steer was useless and we had to manhandle it, and that's what all the bodies were for. I had brought home a 2x2 by 10 foot square solid tube. We had a whole bunch of 2x4s that we turned on our sides, and we just used mechanical leverage to squish it over. One thing we learned fairly quickly was to not grab too much bite with the levers. When you grab too much, you end up lifting the container instead of moving it. Grand total elapsed time for the day was about 2.5 hours. The most challenging part of the day was the first turn, because I really couldn't get the skid steer in to help us. But things went fairly quickly once the skid steer was in play, until we got to the point where we needed to get it up on those concrete tubes. That naturally slowed us down again, because we had to plan exactly where it was going to go. But once again, skid steer for the win. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, I brought a couple floor jacks home from work, which really helped us to get it up and get stuff underneath it. Another helpful addition was the hulk of a man, Jamal, my next door neighbor. There he is doing a stretch. He can move some stuff. Once again, temporarily, we are without the skid steer. Just move it by hand. Not a big deal. And just like that, we are now pulling out the measuring tape and measuring the last few inches to get it just right. Final touches and finito.